Now, the evolution theory says that the universe began with a big bang, right? The Big Bang Theory. So according to the law of cause and effect, which, by the way, all evolutionists believe, the law of cause and effect, when you take that natural scientific law, impose it to the theory of the Big Bang, and say, okay, well, where did the Big Bang come from? What caused the Big Bang? And they'll say, well, you've got these gases in the universe. Okay, let me follow this. Okay, the universe has got gas, and then there's an explosion. That's true to life. I understand that. I mean, I know what that's like. Do I have a witness? So, yes, you're in church. Lighten up. Okay, so where did the gases come from? Okay, I'm not going there. But where did the gases come from? Then evolutionists will say, in all seriousness, say, well, there's atomic particles that existed in the universe. Where did the atomic particles come from? Well, then there's the subatomic particles. Where did the subatomic particles? What caused the subatomic particles? Where there's this primordial soup that existed, and that's the term, the primordial soup. Where did that come from? And where did the stuff that was in that come from? Where was the cause for all of that? See, you cannot infinitely keep going back and back and back and back, because eventually evolutionists say, well, it was just there. But wait a second, the second law of thermodynamics says that the universe can't be eternal. It couldn't just always be there. You cannot have an infinite series of causes. Something, somewhere, there had to have been an uncaused cause somewhere. There had to be an uncaused cause, something that has always existed, that set into motion everything else. I don't know about you, but to me, that just screams, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning. Let me show you this. Frederick Hoyle was a British astronomer. He passed away a few years ago, and a former evolutionist. This is what he said. Believing life could result from chance is like believing that a tornado could sweep through a junkyard and the winds accidentally assemble a fully functional Boeing 747. A former evolutionist, a guy who used to teach this, a guy who said this is what it's all about, said, no, it really doesn't make sense. Okay, there's another natural scientific law that leans in the direction of creation. It's called the principle of uniformity. The principle of uniformity says whatever caused an effect in the past has to be able to cause that same effect in the future, in the present, much less the future. So if it happened back then, it has to be possible for that to happen now. This is what evolutionists say, remember? That nothing, non-living matter, plus a whole lot of time equals life. They say, well, if that happened then it's got to be possible for that to happen now. Except evolutionists cannot illustrate that process happening now, so this is what they say. Well, the conditions in the universe were right back then for that to happen, and those conditions no longer exist today. Well, to me, that seems like a convenient conclusion for their argument. If, though, God created the heavens and the earth, because he wanted to. Could God, the principle of uniformity says, if it happened then, it has to be able to happen now. Could God do that again? Sure, because it was just the will of God. He decided to do it. Now, will he? I don't see why he would. We're here. And I'm not to say that the universe revolves around us. And I'm not saying that there's life on other planets. I don't know. And that's really not important today. But the point is, God could do today what he did back then. Now, whether he chooses to do or not, that's up to God. Again, the principle of uniformity, it causes problems for the evolutionary theory. Then there's the fossil record. Did you know that the fossil record supports creation much more than it supports evolutionary theory? And so much is said about the fossils, what about the fossils? If evolutionary theory is correct, then we should have evidence within the fossil layers. And the fossil record should give us evidence of many, many, many transitional forms of life. We call them missing links. Because see, the evolutionary theory says this, that we start with a very simple life form, And then it evolved over millions and billions of years into a more complex life form. And then over millions and billions of years, a little bit more of a complex life form. And then eventually you get the monkey, and then you got the humped over man, and then you got this. Okay? No, you know what I'm saying. It's that chain of things that you get to, and suddenly you have a full-grown man or human being. And so we know that. We know that process that is given to us there. If that is true, then the fossil record ought to be littered with these transitional forms. We ought to be able to see, oh, look, that's half that and half that. Oh, this is half this and half that. Oh, look, this is half this and half that over there. We caught it in transition. There should be many, not one or two, not a few, and really all that scientists have been able to come up with were a few that they think might be, and they've never found a fully, undeniably, this is it. They find a tooth or a bone fragment or a bone, and they construct things like Nebraska man, Neanderthal man, Peking man, Piltdown man, Java man, all of these different missing links that, every single one of them in time have been proven to be A, either hoaxes, or B, no, that really was the tooth of an extinct pig. Or no, that really was the skull of a monkey. Or that really was the leg bone of a full-grown adult gorilla. And so scientists haven't been able to put all that together, not accurately. Don't take my word for it, okay? Let's listen to what Charles Darwin says. Charles Darwin, you guys have heard of Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species. He's the guy that wrote the book that people write the books about evolution. It's kind of like the evolutionary Bible. It's The Origin of Species. And this is what Darwin says in that book about the fossil record. Why then is not every geological formation and every stratum full of such intermediate links? Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain, and this perhaps is the most obvious and gravest objection which can be urged against my theory.